Okay, so we are driving through Beverly Hills right now, and fortunately and thank God this is the place that we get to call home, and we're on Beverly Drive. They're building a new hotel at the corner of Wilshire and Beverly down here, and Rodeo is just one street over. So there are people that live here, and you can get to know them and meet them. And as I talked about with these people in the past, was that the thing I love about California is that people believe anything is possible. So what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about evaluating the opportunity that you're in now. Now, I want you to remember, I talk about these things very often in a business standpoint. But I really believe that you can apply these things to your personal life as well. But I will generally talk about them on a business basis. This is not a therapy show. This is not saying go out and change your life this way. I'm giving you suggestions and evaluating the way you're living your life and maybe the opportunities that you have in your life. So today, let's talk about evaluating opportunities. And I want to use where I live and where we do business dominantly as an example, because there's no reason why you can't take polar examples. And very frankly, within about 2 miles square of where we are right now is one of the wealthiest places in the world. Unfortunately, also on the fringes, there's some of the poorest and worst areas in the world. Now, that would be a little bit ways away, but still within the same major metropolitan city. So, something that I found interesting, I moved out to LA about 3 years ago, and I grew up on the East Coast, Baltimore, Maryland, and I learned that kind of tough-sided way of things. It was more of a blue-collar town. And then I moved to Columbus, Ohio for a dominant period of time, and that was more of a white-collar, very conservative town. And then I moved to Beverly Hills, California, and I moved into the ether. And I say that in a completely positive way, and I'll explain. Because a lot of people think living in the ether is an example of, oh, you can't be done, you're crazy, whatever. This place has made more things that people said would be impossible happen than anywhere else in the world, I would argue. The reach and the influence of this immediate area, remember, Hollywood is just here 2-3 miles. Century City, where all the big studios are, again, a mile or two right up the road here. We're in an area where the effect of the reach, now I'm not saying good or bad in that situation, because I'm going to let you evaluate that. I believe good and bad is something that people have to judge for themselves. That's not something that you put on people. But from strictly a business sense, these people have accomplished things that you have not seen accomplished in other places in the world. Now, it's all about the reach in business. What they do, listen to the business of making movies, for example. And I would argue over and over and over again that it's probably one of the worst things you could possibly invest in. But people do it every minute of every day. I have friends that make good living raising money for that. But let's look at how they evaluate the opportunity. You have a star, that's the headline. That might be your product or service in a business situation. They have a script, what they're going to say, what they're going to have this well-known person say to everybody in that movie. What's the subject going to be? What are the things that they're trying to pass across? Your presentation in business, it matches exactly. Then, how are you going to get the word out? Now, this is the place that Hollywood is more impressive than anywhere else in the world. That's a big statement. What they do is they decide if they have a star product and they have a great script, they're going to totally take the risk and invest gigantic amounts of money in just getting the word out. Now look at these things. These are not establishing long businesses. How long does a movie last? They can make all their money in a month and have had a gigantic blockbuster. But look at all the times that they've had to invest to get that word out and to get to that point where people, when they see this star product, they want to move to action to coming out. So in evaluating deals here, it's very cut and dry. You have a star, you have a great script of how you're going to get the word out, and then you invest to get the word out. Now, what's the success rate? The success rate is tiny. That's why unless you have $500 million, you don't get into that business. You don't get into the drug business as far as selling pharmaceutical drugs unless you can invest $50 million starting to get the word out. But there are tons of opportunities in this country. And we have to say, people can complain about the country. They can say whatever they want. This is one of the greatest countries in the world because within the legal parameters of our Constitution, you can do almost anything you want if you're not hurting people. And unfortunately, some if you are hurting people. So in evaluating opportunity, what you have to look at is a very, very simple formula. And this was something that was really said by one of the Hunt brothers. I believe it was J.R. Hunt who said this. And they were the Texas oil billionaires who tried to corner the silver market in the 80s when they had the huge spike in silver. He said, business is simple. He says, find what you want to do, find out what the price you're going to have to pay to succeed, and then simply go pay the price. Now that could mean a lot of things. To a Texas billionaire, it meant if I'm going to get involved with the product, I'm going to invest $100 million to make sure everybody knows I'm involved in it. He tried to corner the world silver market to the point where he affected it going up by 9 times. You're talking to me about a man who knows how to affect things. He said, just simply find out what price you have to pay and go out and pay it. So that means, let's just take you're a salesperson. And I have to tell you something. I take extreme pride in telling people I'm a closer and a pitchman. Things that maybe some people would have a hard time. I tell billionaires I'm a pitchman because they want pitchmen. I'm an unusual person. You're an unusual person. If you are in sales and you have figured out how to close people, you are a unique individual because most people live their lives in a shell and never go out and venture to try to do anything. So you're worlds ahead of those people. But now you've moved people, you're unusual. I take great pride in that. So you're a representative, you're a closer, you're a pitchman, whatever you like to call yourself. You decide that you're going to look the world over, and you should look the world over if you're doing yourself justice. And we talked about self-respect lately. This for sure would be important to do. You look the world over for something that interests you to the point where it'll keep you up at night thinking about it. I'm in the midst of one right now. I closed with the grace of God. That's the way I say it whenever I mention this deal. You can call it whatever you want, but I closed with the grace of God a national sales agreement to sell the newest upright MRI technology. Commissions are gigantic. It's an unbelievable opportunity. It's a pitchman job. We have to go out and we have to close people. So I looked the world over. I found a deal that would keep me up at night thinking about it. I knew my passion was going to be there. That was the first step of it. I chased them for 2 years and a month until I finally did business with them. Is that a commitment? I evaluated at the beginning that this could be one of the greatest opportunities opportunities of my